Hi, this video is going to be about Andrew Carnegie. Okay, Carnegie was born in 1835 to 1919 in Scotland, and he immigrated to the United States whenever he was basically 12 years old. Okay, at 13 he got a job and he worked hard. His family could not afford to actually put him through school, so Carnegie had to actually educate himself. Okay. At 13, Carnegie worked 13 hours a day, 6 days a week in a cotton mill. He was running the cotton gin there, okay? The other thing about that is after he got off of work, Carnegie typically didn't go home right away. He went at least once a week down to the library and he checked out books and he read books, and his main thing that he read about was business and how to be a great business person, okay? So even at the age of 13, he was already showing huge signs of becoming a successful businessman. He worked at a telegraph company. Okay, y'all know the telegraph, invented by Samuel Morse. That's one of your vocabulary this week. Where he solved a log jam there. Okay, he was awarded stock for solving that log jam, which he invested. Okay, so we're talking about when he's a teenager, y'all. He's like 16, 17 years old. He's already investing in stocks, okay? By 1860, he had investments in railroads, okay? The big transportation of the day was railroads. And along with that, specifically Pullman sleepers. Now, I'm not expecting you to know what that is at all, but let me teach you, okay? A Pullman sleeper, a Pullman car was like the top luxury railroad car. Okay, they had a bar, they had a bathroom, they had a restaurant, that they would serve food in. All the chairs were leather. Each passenger got a bed, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, each Pullman car, if you worked it out in today's money, we're talking about $1 million per railroad car, okay? And they would put, 20 or 30 Pullman sleepers on a train, and that's how the rich rode. Each one of them having their own railroad car. It's basically a mobile hotel. He also invested in oil, and most importantly of all, steel bridges, okay? So when Carnegie was a very young man, okay, pretty young, he actually was a bridge builder. That was his trade, and he built a lot with iron. But he was actually asked to cross the Mississippi River at a point near St. Louis, Missouri, in which the river was a mile wide, okay? And he knew that iron just was not gonna cut it. So he starts buying steel, which nobody had ever built a bridge out of such an expensive metal at the time. Well, the thing is Carnegie realized that the bill was so expensive that he's gonna come in way over budget. So instead of actually just paying out the steel mills for the amount of steel he needed, he bought his own steel mills. And then to cut costs even further, he goes ahead and buys the iron mines, and he buys the coal mines that are associated with it. So now he's got everything he needs to make the steel himself, and he just cut out all those middlemen, and thereby invented a new form of business called vertical integration, where he buys everything in the chain that it takes to make his product. After he built this first bridge across the Mississippi River ever, he quit bridge building. And he realized that the real money was in manufacturing cheaper steel, okay, by using the Bessemer process. So why was Carnegie successful? Well, he had charisma, okay? That means that people liked him. He was a likable person. People recognized him as a natural leader. He was self-educated. Even though he didn't have schooling, he learned all the things he needed to know to become a millionaire. A sharp rise in demand for steel and the application of the Bessemer process. Okay? So because we needed steel so we can build skyscrapers and build railroads and everything else made out of steel, and because of the new Bessemer process from Henry Bessemer, this British guy, now those two mixed together, and it was the right guy at the right time with the right technology to become the biggest steel robber baron on the planet, okay? Carnegie cut costs by using vertical integration to control his raw materials. We just talked about that. You buy everything it takes to make the product and to distribute the product, and you cut out all the middlemen. So towards the end of his life, or his career, I should say, Andrew Carnegie, he never really cared about money, okay? A lot of these robber barons were kind of like that. When you get to the top like that, a lot of these guys don't really care about money. What they care about is power and influence and being the best at something, okay? So Carnegie sold his Carnegie steel. By the way, in America we pronounce it Carnegie, but his real name from Scotland is Carnegie. He sold Carnegie steel in 1901 to J.P. Morgan, which is our robber baron, for banking, okay? And basically that deal was worth $300 billion in today's money. 300 billion, all right? So anyway, he overnight became the richest man alive at that point, and he was only going to be passed up by John D. Rockefeller whenever John D. Rockefeller is actually forced to sell his Standard Oil Company. He would get something like, $1 trillion for it in today's money. So Carnegie became a philanthropist. Philanthropist is a rich business person that gives away their money to make society better. That was a definition for it. He took his money and built libraries, hospitals, and Carnegie Hall, okay? So, if you look right here, we have a couple of things. By the way, this is Carnegie Hall. You've probably seen it in a lot of stand-up comedy specials. Originally, it was meant mostly for music performance. Big, beautiful room, and there is a big dome at the top here that you call a rotunda, okay? The Capitol building has one just like that. The National Capitol building, not the state Capitol building. So, we have a political cartoon here, okay? We have Andrew Carnegie. Now, what's he doing? Okay, he's got a big scooper, and it's full of gold, big bag full of gold, and he is showering. If you look at closely here, he's standing on a map of America. He's showering America with his gold. And you can look at this guy and say, why the heck is he wearing a skirt? Well, that's actually called a kilt, okay? In Scotland, men wear kilts, which basically is a plaid skirt. So, this is showing Andrew Carnegie not as a robber baron, but, okay, what do you call a robber baron if you like them, okay? So he would be a captain of industry, according to this political cartoon, all right? So, $100 million given for the public good. All right, that's Andrew Carnegie. He's the steel robber baron.